Okay, well, welcome in to the platform of Studio B, and this is a 30-minute practice, flow-based, and we're going to continue working with sacred shapes today. So we are going to be learning from the story of Virabhadra, which you might recognize with the poses of Virabhadrasana. And so we have three warrior poses that you're probably really familiar with: warrior one, warrior two, warrior three, and you're going to get to learn a little bit about the story where those three shapes came from. So the first minute or so of this practice, we're going to really drop into our sense of sound and really just kind of take in this story that's going to inform the way we move today. So find a comfortable seat. I'm actually going to move into hero's pose, Virasana, which you'll recognize has that same vira word at the beginning, which means hero in Sanskrit. So if this is comfortable for knees and ankles, find your way into Virasana. Palms can be down or up, whatever feels more resourceful to you today. And then just go ahead and close the eyes and really start to shift your awareness to your sense of sound as I share, as quickly as I can, but as thoroughly as I can, the story of Virabhadra. So Lord Shiva was married to Sati, and Sati's father, Daksha, did not approve of their union. And Daksha, to sort of put salt into the wound, threw a large party inviting all of the gods and goddesses except for Shiva and Sati. And Sati decided that she would go to this party alone to confront her father and really call him out on his prejudice and rejection of her marriage. But when she gets there, Daksha really digs his heels in. He says, this is what I believe and it's not going to change. And so Sati goes into deep meditative contemplation and eventually ends up stimulating an internal fire that is so hot she actually internally combusts and dies. As an expression of his grief, Shiva rips out his hair. His hair falls to the floor and he conjures the warrior Virabhadra to take out his anger, his frustration. And so Virabhadra rises from the ground, that's warrior one, draws his swords, warrior two, decapitates Daksha and places his head on a spire, warrior three. And that's often where the story ends, and yet the rest of the story is perhaps the most important part, because what happens next is Shiva immediately experiences grief and compassion for his actions, and he actually chooses to bring Daksha back to life, and they reconcile and become friends. And then eventually Sita reincarnates as Parvati. And so we have a happy ending, and what we recognize in this story is that it's really the age-old story of our higher selves battling our egos. Let's take a moment here, just a breath or two, to just let that complex hero story settle into the body and the mind. And maybe just bringing in some curiosity about how a story so ancient can inform the way we move our body in the practice today. And then as you're ready, let's start to blink open the eyes. And we're going to start to create a little bit of movement through flow. So as we inhale, let's bring the arms up in towards the heart. Interlace the fingers. Exhale, push the palms away, round the spine. Inhale, lift the palms up to the ceiling, lengthening through the sides of the body. And then exhale, let the arms float out and down. We'll do that 4 more times. Inhale, bring the breath in, energy up and in. Exhale, push it away and expand it. Inhale, grow up, but also root down through the pelvis. Exhale, let the fingertips float wide and down. Feeling the breath, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, bring in what you need today. Exhale, now expand it, grow. Inhale, feel yourself rooted and yet fluid. Exhale, feel out into that energy bubble. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Inhale it up. Exhale out and down. We're going to spend a little bit of time creating the arms of each of these warrior shapes. So sweep the arms out and up, starting with warrior one. So one option is to keep the fingertips right in line with the shoulders, so about shoulder width apart. And we want to try to create length in the outer arm, but a softening through the inner neck and the tops of the shoulders. You could stay right here, or I'll turn sideways for you to see this. You could let the head drift back, bring the palms of the hands together, cross the thumbs, seal the palms, and then reach up through the fingertips. And what we get here is that energy of Virabhadra that was conjured from the ground, rising up at Shiva's calling, ready to destroy the ego. Take one more inhale here. As you exhale, open the arms wide, coming into Virabhadrasana, two arms. So this is when Virabhadra drew his swords. So the arms are like swords here. I want you to think of from your inner elbow to the center of your spine, draw energy in, activate the upper back. From the inner elbow out through the fingertips, reach out. And just feel how these opposing energies are interplaying in the body. Take one more breath here, this warrior two, sword-like energy. And then warrior three, flip the palms to the ceiling, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. We're going to build a little core awareness. So take the torso and start to lean yourself forward diagonally, just about 45 degrees. Try to keep the biceps in line with the ears, and you'll feel how the front of the core has to start to really activate to support the back body here. As you reach the fingertips diagonally up and out, feel your seat grounding down and back. Take one more full breath here. And then exhale, push down through the shins, lift up through the spine, release the arms. Come to standing and make your way to the front of your space. We're going to start to move into sun salutations. And the first round is really classic. And the following 3 rounds, we're going to invite in each of the warrior poses into our sun salutations. So feet about hip distance apart, lengthen the arms alongside you. Take a nice full breath in, becoming aware of that tall posture. And exhale, bring the palms of the hands together, position 1. Inhale, reaching forward, up and back is position 2. And then hinging at the waist, folding forward is position 3. Step the left foot to the back of the mat and let the left knee gently melt down to the mat. We'll take one breath here in low lunge. Again, keeping this first round totally classic, nothing complicated. Step it back to downward facing dog, position 5. And then we'll flow through knees, chest, and chin, Ashtangasana. So without moving your feet, let the knees find the mat, chest in between the thumbs, chin out front. Then slide onto the belly. Lift from the back of the heart into position 7, Cobra. And then shift back, position 8, downward facing dog. Shifting that left foot forward, right knee gently finds the mat, taking a full breath in this lunge pose. Pelvis is heavy, and yet we're also pushing the floor away through the feet and that back shin. Position 10, big step forward, right foot meets the left, fold in. And then reaching out, up, and back, position 11. Bring the palms of the hands together for 12. We'll move into the second round, bringing in Virabhadrasana 1 this round. Inhale, lengthen the arms. Exhale, bring the palms of the hands together, 1. Inhale, reaching forward, up and back, kind of channeling your own sort of warrior energy, hinging from the hips, folding forward and down. Step the right foot towards the back of your mat space. Pivot and plant your right heel. And before you rise the torso, check in that your left knee is stacked approximately over your left ankle. And then circle sweep the arms out and up to rise into that warrior 1. Now thinking first about the legs, I'm going to take my left femur, pull it back like I'm plugging it into a socket. And then option 1 is to keep the arms shoulder width apart. Option 2, drop the head back. Connect the palms, cross the thumbs, and feel that rising energy of Virabhadra rising from the earth, being conjured by Shiva. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, release the hands down to the mat, step it back, downward facing dog. Again, through that knees, chest, and chin, Ashtangasana, 8-pointed pose. And then sliding to the belly, lifting up to the depth of cobra that feels right for your spine today. Shifting back, downward facing dog, position 8. And step the right foot forward in between the hands. Pivot and plant the left heel. Again, before you lift the torso, check in with the kind of integrity of the lower half of the pose. And then as you feel really strong and powerful there, rise out and up through the torso. So it's that feeling of kind of building from the ground up, which is what Virabhadra did when he was conjured by Shiva and rised from his hair. One more full breath here, feeling powerful and strong. And then big step forward, hands find the mat, left foot comes forward to meet the right. Circle sweeping the arms out, up and back. And bring the palms of the hands together. 2 more rounds. Inhale, lengthen the arms, stand tall. Exhale, bring the palms together, energy in towards the heart. Inhale, reaching forward, up and back. You ground through the feet to find the back bend in the spine. And then folding at the hip points, long spine, folding over the legs. Step the left foot towards the back of your space. Pivot and plant your left heel. We're going to come up into Warrior 2. Windmill the arms up. Find that Warrior 2. And again, from the inner elbow to the center of the spine, pull in. From the inner elbow to the fingertips, reach out. And then do the same thing with the legs. Think of taking your right heel towards the arch of your left foot, energetically pulling in. And now take your right knee and draw it forward a little bit. So we've got these opposing energies, and we have this powerful, sustained center right in the middle of it all. Arms like swords. One more inhale. Exhale, windmill the arms down, step it back, downward facing dog. Different vinyasa pattern this time. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Exhale, try to keep the body in one solid piece as you lower all the way to the floor. Inhale, lift the upper half of the body in cobra, but now add the legs, lifting them in Shalabhasana locust pose. We'll take 2 breaths here in this hybrid back bend of cobra and locust. One more full inhale. Exhale, tuck the toes, shift it back, downward facing dog. Lifting the head, looking forward, step the left foot forward. Pivot the right heel down. Windmill the arms up, find that Warrior 2. Find your opposing energies of moving in, moving out, through the arms and through the legs. What I find interesting, we've got about 4 more breaths here, is that when people tell the story of Virabhadra, they often stop at the point that Virabhadra decapitates Daksha. They end the story there. When perhaps the most important part of the story is the reconciliation, the compassion, the forgiveness that happens in the second half of the story. Windmill the arms down to the mat. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. Fold in. And then circle sweep those arms out, up and back. And palms of the hands together. 1 more round of sun salutations, just enough to add in 1 more warrior. Inhale, lengthen those arms. Exhale, palms come together. Inhale, forward, up, back. Exhale, folding over the legs. Now a little bit different here. Lift the spine about halfway. Fingertips come out in front of you about 6 to 8 inches. Slide the weight into your left foot and then sweep your right leg back and up into Warrior 3. Think of lifting the right inner thigh up towards the ceiling, right pinky toe spiraling down towards your mat. You could stay here with the hands on the mat for additional balance support. Or you could begin to bring 1 or both of the hands towards the heart, lifting up into your balancing pose. And then for a deeper expression, you could think the reason why this pose has the arms forward is because after Virabhadra decapitates Daksha, he takes the head, he extends it forward as an offering. He sacrificed his ego. and places it on a spire. One more breath here. And then lower the hands to the mat on your exhale. Step back, downward facing dog. Option to take up to 3 vinyasas with me here. Inhale, look forward, come to the balls of the feet. Bend the knees like you're a little ball at the back of your space. Exhale, shoot forward, chaturanga. Inhale, keep the toes tucked, up dog. Exhale, down dog. 2 more just like that. Inhale, create that ball at the back of your mat. Exhale, shoot forward, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Remembering you could skip one or all of these. Last time, create that ball of energy. Shoot it forward. Inhale it up. Exhale back. Looking forward. Step the right foot forward. Bend the left knee, get a little bit bouncy there because we'll create warrior 3 from here. So you'll launch off the left leg, lift it up parallel to the floor. Now before we think about balancing, lift the left inner thigh to the ceiling, left pinky toe down towards the mat. You could keep the fingertips down, or maybe hands just lift up to heart center. Activate the upper back. Maybe extend that energy of an offering, a sacrifice. One more inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, left foot meets the right, fold in. Circle sweep those arms out and up, back, palms of the hands together. Take a moment, lengthen the arms alongside you, close your eyes. Give yourself about 3 breaths just to stand and be in witness of your own body, your own breath, your own energy. Noticing if anything has shifted or changed in the last 15 or so minutes. And then blinking open the eyes, we're going to move into a standing sequence where we're going to thread together all 3 of these Virabhadra poses. We're going to do warrior 3 to warrior 1 to warrior 2. So we're going to see if we can create smooth transitions from one to the other. So this will be the last standing sequence of the practice. So give it what you've got energetically. Standing at the front of the mat, arms lengthened. And we're going to start warrior 3 a little bit differently. Sweep the arms out and up. And then take your left leg behind you and point your left toe so that your toenails are on the top of the floor. Lift the front of the waistband up. And then think of your body like a seesaw at the park. So everything moves as one piece here. We're just hinging at the waist and begin to hinge forward. For some of us, if we're practicing with integrity, we only move forward a couple of inches, because we don't want to lower the torso any more than we can lift the leg. For others, we're able to come down so that we have both the torso and the leg parallel to the floor. Recognizing that we ourselves are worthy of our own compassion, so making a compassionate choice. Last breath here. And then start to bend your standing knee. Reach back with your left foot, let your left heel find the mat, and then push down through the right foot to lift the torso, rising up into warrior 1. Maybe drop the head back, connect the palms, and reconnect with that strong, smooth breath. As you follow your exhale, open it up. Facing the long edge of your mat, finding your warrior 2. Recognizing that these transitions are part of the story of the pose as well. And what we really recognize from the story of Virabhadra is it's a story of our higher self, embodied by Shiva in the latter part, overcoming our ego, in battle with the ego, Straighten your right leg, bring your hands to your waist, turn your feet parallel, Prasarita Padottanasana. Inhale, lift the heart just a little bit, and then exhale, hinging once again at the hips, folding forward. Let the hands lower and find the mat, and then walk the hands back in line with your feet. As you push your palms into the mat, gently propel the crown of the head down towards the floor. And maybe use the 5 or so breaths that we have here as an opportunity to think back on a recent time where you became aware of a part of your personality or your habits and behaviors that you didn't particularly like, that you wanted to change or eliminate. And maybe thinking about what action did you take? Did you subjugate that part of your ego? Did you destroy it? Were you destructive? Did you repress it? Inhale, lift up. Walk the hands to the front of the mat. Step your left foot forward to meet your right. Inhale, lift up halfway, tabletop spine. Exhale, fold in. Circle, sweep the arms out and up. And we're going to start with the second side straight away from here. So shift the weight to the left leg and take your right leg, drawing it back, pointing the foot so the toenails are on the floor briefly. And then thinking of the body like a seesaw, only hinging forward as far as you can lift the leg with integrity. This is a beautiful opportunity to focus on the exhale, keeping the nervous system calm, the breath smooth and deep. And then start to bend your standing left leg, reach back with the right, let it find the floor, plant the right heel, and lift up into your warrior one. And that was Shiva's inclination too. If your inclination was just to destroy or get rid of or eliminate the part of yourself that you found unsavory, that was Shiva's first inclination as well. You're in good company. Start to open it up, warrior two. But then what Shiva recognized is maybe the answer isn't to destroy. Maybe the answer is to reconcile, to extend loving kindness and compassion. And that's why he brings Daksha back to life, last breath in warrior two. And they have this sort of coming together. Straighten your left leg, hands to hips, turn your feet parallel. Inhale, a little lift in the heart. Exhale, long spine as you fold forward. Hands come to the mat. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to come upside down here if you're able to do that with safety and security in the body. If you need to navigate to the mat, navigate your mat to a wall, you're welcome to do so. Head comes down, hands out in front of you for a tripod position. You might rock up onto the balls of the feet, bringing the hips over the shoulders, and then letting the feet and the legs find flight as you come upside down. We keep concentrating on that smooth breath. Feeling our head grounding into the earth and our arms supporting us. And then remembering that transition is also part of the practice, we start to mindfully make our way down. And then slowly lifting the head back up just parallel to the floor. Walk the hands to the front of the mat. And we're going to sit back to a child's pose. So lowering right knee, slide the left knee back, and sit back to a child's. And then starting to slide forward, coming onto your back, we're going to start to close out this practice with a short sequence on our spines. So as you make your way onto your back, bring the feet onto the mat. You're going to have a really supportive approach to Supta Padangusthasana A. So keeping the left foot on your mat, bring your right thigh in towards your chest, interlace your hands behind your right thigh, and start to reach your right heel to the ceiling. And then maybe the hands can slide up behind the calf or around the ankle. But we're really not trying to get anywhere on the leg. We want to keep the shoulders relaxed. We're just looking for a little bit of sensation in the right hamstring. And for me, there are two things that really help me to get the most out of this. One is I'm going to take my right hip and I'm just gently going to elongate it towards the bottom of my mat. And then I'm going to reach my right heel just a little bit more actively up towards my ceiling. And then take your right hand inside your right leg, extend your left arm out, palm down. And thinking of a boat, we don't want to tip the boat. As you sweep your right leg out to the right, try to keep the weight of the body centered. And so I often find it helpful as I exhale to really let the back of my rib cage settle into the mat here. And you might be wondering, why would we do a floor sequence like this in a practice that's all about warriors? And part of that goes back to the language of Virabhadra itself. Vira means hero. Bhadra means friend or blessed. Start to lift the right leg back to center. Reclined pigeon, right ankle over left knee. Thread the hands behind the left thigh, bring the legs in for a nice little hip stretch. And so you might recognize that you have certain expectations for what it means to conjure warrior energy. And yet what the story of Virabhadra invites us to do is to sort of change the way that we think about a warrior. A warrior is compassionate, kind, forgiving. If you'd like to be a little bit more playful, you can come along with me for the final 4 or 5 breaths here. Left hand to right foot, right hand to right knee. Extend your left leg to the front of your mat space. You could stay here, or for the final stage of playfulness, hook your left arm underneath your right ankle. Reach your right arm towards the front of your mat. Bend your right elbow, so now your right bicep is like a pillow for your head. Interlace your fingers, and then gently press your head into your right bicep, coming into this playful reclined pigeon pose. Last breath here. And then gently releasing out of that, release the hands, bring your left knee back in, stacking right ankle over left knee, figure 4 twist, drop the legs over to the left. So the right sole of the foot is on the floor, right knee pointing up towards the ceiling. And this is just a really subtle, gentle spinal twist. Let the head float back to center, legs back to center, and then uncross the right leg and just take a breath with both feet on the mat before we do that sequence on the second side. And then start to draw the left knee in, interlacing hands behind calf or thigh, and reaching that left heel up towards the ceiling to get just that Goldilocks stretch, not too much, not too little. And sometimes recognizing what it means to be a warrior is to cultivate softness. Being willing to admit when you're wrong and to make amends. Even if it was a really big error, which is what Shiva did. Take your left hand inside your left leg, right arm out to the side, sweep it out without overly falling to your left. You know, Shiva was such a powerful god, he could have not done anything. He could have left Daksha dead, decapitated, and just been like, oh, well, I guess I'll just do it differently next time. But he didn't. He made the choice to actually fix what he did, to recognize his error and do something to amend it. Bring that left leg back into center, cross left ankle over right knee, and then hug the legs in for that hip stretch, that reclined pigeon. And so perhaps the lesson for us is the next time we identify a part of ourselves that we don't like or we want to change or eradicate, that maybe the first step is not to repress it, not to subjugate it, but to love it. If you'd like to come into these playful pigeons, right hand to left foot, left hand to left knee, extend the right leg forward. You could stay right here, or you could take that crowbar variation, right arm underneath left ankle. Left arm reaches up, bends the elbows, fingers interlace, and then the head gently pushes back. And I tend to always get a little bit harsh in my jaw here, so I'm going to remind myself to soften my mouth, relax my face. And then as I start to come out of this, I'm going to move straight away into that figure 4 twist. So I cross left ankle over right knee, and then I keep the shape of the legs, I just let them fall over to the right. So it's a good reminder for us in our practice too, that embodying that warrior energy in our practice doesn't always mean that we're pushing and trying to be stronger or more powerful. Sometimes the power is actually in our softness. You know, the power to stay in some of these more meditative, yin-infused shapes. And then coming out of the twist, making our way into a very brief Shavasana, about 30 seconds here, extending legs and arms, closing eyes. And giving the body the opportunity to just absorb the benefits of this practice. An opportunity to remember that we are not our physical bodies and we are not the thoughts in our minds, but that our truest self is this pure and peaceful consciousness. A consciousness that we can tap into at any time. And then we'll prepare to come out of this by taking a full and conscious breath. And then in your own way and in your own time, inviting movement and making the transition back up to a seated position to close the practice. And pausing for just a brief moment before our closing shlokas, just to honor the lineage of this practice, the stories that infuse these sacred shapes, and the relevance that still comes from these stories today. Let's bring the palms of the hands together. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Jai Shri Sakguru Maharaj Ki.